The story I'm about to tell happened in 1959. I've been in touch with the people involved, and they gave me permission to tell the story under the condition that I didn't use their real names. Now, to give you a bit of background to this story, and a bit of background as to what was happening in the United States in the 1950s, I only have to say two words: Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley burst upon the entertainment scene in the 1950s, and it was a phenomenon. Teenagers went crazy about his music. If they had a bit of extra money, they bought his records. And overnight, Elvis Presley made a huge amount of money. And in 1957, he bought a big piece of property in Memphis, Tennessee, called Graceland, which had a mansion on it, a lot of grounds, and a wall around the whole thing. And then at the entrance to the property, he erected the famous Elvis Presley Gate, all made out of wrought iron with his image on both sides. Now, it wasn't long after that Elvis Presley was drafted into the U.S. Army for 2 years. And from 1958 to 1960, he was in the Army, and a lot of the time he was overseas in Germany. So that's the background to this story. Now imagine it's the summer of 1959. Enter into this story 4 teenage boys. 2 boys from northern Mississippi, another boy who I will call Marvelous, and his good school friend, F Square. Now, Marvelous owns a souped-up 1957 baby blue Chevrolet. And one night in the summer of 1959, the 4 of them are riding around in that 57 Chevy in northern Mississippi. And they got hold of a bit of beer, and they've been drinking, and they're feeling pretty good, when one of them says, "Why don't we drive up to Memphis and see Graceland?" And they thought, yeah, that's a good idea. They loved Elvis Presley. So Marvelous pointed his 1957 Chevrolet north up Highway 61, and off they went. It took about an hour to get to Memphis, and they found where Graceland was, and there was the wall around the property, and there was that famous Elvis Presley Gate. Now, there was nobody around. So they stopped the car, and they got out. They went up to the gate. And through the gate, they could see the mansion up on the high ground there, all lit up with floodlights on the outside. And some of the trees on the grounds, they were also lit up with floodlights, shining up in the branches. And it was quiet, really quiet. And they looked at each other, and they said, "Well, you know, Elvis Presley's in the Army. He's over in Germany. There's nobody home. Why don't we, go across this gate and have a look around?" And they said, "Yeah, we can do that." So they needed a bit of extra height to get over the gate. So they backed up that 57 Chevy up to the gate. They climbed up on the back of it, and they climbed up on the gate, dropped down the other side. So now we got 4 teenage boys on the inside of Graceland at the beginning of that long driveway that led up to the mansion. And they're all excited about being there, and they're walking up that driveway. And they're making a bit of noise and stuff, but that's okay because there's nobody home. And they're walking up that driveway, getting closer to the mansion. And suddenly they see a swimming pool. And they look at that swimming pool and they say, "I recognize that pool. That was a pool in Elvis Presley's movie. The one way he's playing music with his band at the side of the pool. Let's have a look. So they rush over there, and the pool, there's not much light around it. It's only lit by, like, floodlights under the water. But they could kind of tell that, yeah, they said, this is the pool that was in the movie. And this is where his band was right here. And this was where he was standing. Whoa, this is a big thing. They start throwing a party. They start singing Blue Suede Shoes and Hound Dog, playing like they're Elvis Presley. And they're making a lot of noise, but that's okay because there's nobody home. So in the middle of the festivities, one of the boys says, well, as long as we're here, why don't we go for a swim? And he thought it was a good idea, so he threw off his clothes and he jumped in the water and he's paddling around having a fine old time. Well, the other three boys, they were down at one end of the pool and they were thinking about going for a swim too. And they were in various states of undress when F Square looked up toward the other end of the pool and he saw a shadow. And that shadow wasn't there a couple of seconds ago. Now, sometimes in some situations in life, it's kind of like the universe stands still and it watches and it holds its breath and time seems to stand still. Well, this was one of those times because as F Square looked, he could see that shadow had a flashlight. And by the light of that flashlight, F Square could see that shadow was holding on to two leads. And at the end, each one of those leads was a Doberman. Now, the shadow didn't shine the light at the boys. The shadow didn't say a thing. He just let them dogs do all the talking. And suddenly time began again because those dogs were snarling and they were barking and they were tugging at those leads and they were saying in dog language, you boys get out of that pool. You get off of this property or this man is going to let us off these leads and we are going to eat you alive. Panic, absolute panic. One of the Mississippi boys, he runs off in this direction. The other Mississippi boy, the one in the pool, he runs off in that direction. Marvelous and F Square turn around and they start legging it back down that long Elvis Presley driveway, going like the devil is chasing them. And they make it back down to the gate and they're out of breath. But they can still hear the dogs barking up by the pool. So they knew the man had not let them off the leads. So they had a few seconds to think. And they thought, this is amazing. We're on Graceland. What a story this will make. But nobody is going to believe it. We got to find something. We got to get something. We got to take something with us that'll prove that we've been here. So they looked around. Just inside the gate, there was a guardhouse. Just outside the guardhouse, there was a lawn chair. Well, take that lawn chair. They went over, grabbed the lawn chair, took it over the gate. Now we're going to throw it over the gate. Be careful now, don't hit the car. So they threw it, but it hit the top of the gate and it fell back. So they tried again. They threw it again. Took them 3 tries till they finally got it over, tumbled over the gate and missed the car. What else can we take? Well, there was a playing card on the ground. Get that playing card. Marvelous grabbed it, shoved it in his pocket. They said, okay, that's enough. Let's get out of here. So they climbed up on that guardhouse. They got up on the wall, dropped down the other side, ran over to the car, grabbed that lawn chair, shoved it in the back of that 57 Chevy. Where are the other 2 guys? I don't know where they are. We got to get out of here. The cops are coming. So they jumped in the Chevy, and they looked over in the back seat. And there was one of those Mississippi boys. He had run off in another direction. Somehow he had gotten over the wall and back to the car before they did. which goes to show you just how scared he was. Where's the other guy? I don't know where he is. We can't wait for him. We got to get out of here. Marvelous fired up that 57 Chevy, and they wheeled out of there just like they had robbed a bank. But they hadn't gone far when in the light of the headlights, up ahead they could see this naked fella hiding in a ditch by the side of the road. Now, I want to emphasize here that if you're in Memphis, Tennessee, in the dead of night, and you see some naked fella hiding in a ditch by the side of the road, you probably shouldn't stop and pick him up. But they reckon they knew this fella, so they hit the brakes, screeched to a halt, opened the door, he jumped in, and sure enough, it was that other Mississippi boy, the one who had been swimming in the pool. And they said, "Man, where's your clothes?" He said, "I left them at the pool." "You left them at the pool? Man, your wallet is in your jeans. Your identification is in your wallet. They're going to catch you. They're going to catch us. We are in big trouble here." He said, "No, man. I left my wallet here in the car before we went over the gate." Whew, close. We can still get away. They slammed the door, hit the gas, couple of turns out of Memphis. They hit Highway 61, heading south back toward the Mississippi. Expecting any moment to hear the cops, the sirens, see the red lights behind them, chasing them. But that didn't happen. They got away clean. And as they blazed down past the Mississippi state line, they knew they were safe, and they're whooping it up, going, "Man, what a night. This is incredible what we've done. Been to Graceland. What a story this is going to make. And we got the proof right in the back. This is going to impress a lot of girls. They are going to find us irresistible." So they are basking in the glory of days to come. Well, they drove back down into Mississippi from where they started. And they stopped the car and they got out, opened up the back of the car and took out their prized lawn chair and took it into the light. And they looked at it, and they looked at it some more. They turned it over, looked at it some more, but there was nothing on it that said property of Graceland. It wasn't autographed by Elvis Presley. It was just a plain old, ordinary lawn chair. And what about the playing card? Marvelous pulled that out, 10 of diamonds. What's on the back? No picture of Graceland. No picture of Elvis Presley. Just a plain old playing card. So, in the end, after all that, they didn't have any proof of what they had done. So the days of glory never happened. And they only told a few close friends about what they had done. Now, these boys who were 16 years old back in 1959 are now in their mid-70s. And some of those friends that they told have since passed away. But I'd like to keep this story alive because I think it's a great story of teenage adventure. And I think it does have perhaps some historical significance. But I do also hope that just maybe in northern Mississippi, there's another fella in his mid-70s. And I like to think that maybe on some cold winter's night, he gets his grandkids together around the fire and he tells them the story about how one night in the summer of 1959, him and 3 other boys went over the gate at Graceland, and he went swimming in Elvis Presley's swimming pool. Thank you very much.